Hello, this is Pamela Topchian. I am the host of Holistic Connections Conversations with Holistic Practitioners. And we are recording in May, but this episode is going to be for June, which is Pride Month in the US and some other countries, but not all over the world. And so I am featuring guests who are part of the LGBTQ plus community to share what they do in the holistic healing world. So I will ask my guest to share what you do in the holistic healing world and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Awesome. Well, Pamela, thank you so much for having me tonight. I really appreciate it. It's wonderful when we have allies in the community, somebody who truly, truly has walked the walk with any friends or family that you've come across and learned about this marginalized experience that we experience, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, yeah, so thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Well, my name is Al. I am a holistic business owner. My business is called Chronic Wellness. I've
Love
been in
it.
practice for 5.5 years. Yeah, isn't it a great name?
It is. It really is.
I've been in practice for 5.5 years, and I'm queer. And I was so excited to be invited onto this show to be able to talk about the holistic wellness services that I provide for anyone from any walk of life, and then kind of hone in a little bit about the queer experience and some of the benefits and also some of the challenges that I've come across as being a queer wellness provider.
Yeah. Thank you for being on. It's my honor as well. So thank you. So if you want to just share a little bit about some of those holistic practices and some of your offerings, if you could talk about some of that a little bit.
I would love to. And can I tell you just a little bit of why I got into this? Is
Yeah,
that
yeah.
okay? Because that'll kind of lead us
Please.
into some of those answers. Is that all right?
Absolutely. Yes.
Okay. Well, I am 37. I'll be 38 in a couple of months. And when I was 29, I was not in a good place in life. I was not in a good place physically or mentally, emotionally or spiritually, right? And I was upset because I thought, hey, I'm doing the work, right? Like I am, eating healthy. I'm going to regular mental health counseling. I have a functional nutritionist. Like, I feel like I'm having some pretty healthy habits. Like I should be feeling better than this, and I wasn't.
Mhm.
And I got introduced to an energy healer, and I didn't really understand how calling a man on the phone in Georgia could benefit my life when I'm here living in Arizona, right? I was absolutely desperate to find some relief.
Yeah.
And anyways, his name is Jeff, and I worked with him for several years, and I got so much better physically,
Yay.
mentally, emotionally, socially, spiritually, in every single way. And I was like, oh, okay, so everything I was doing, with the nutrition and the exercise and the mental health counseling, that was great. But I was missing a fundamental piece. I was not taking care of my spirit or my
Mhm.
energy. And so after working with Jeff for several years, I was like, okay, I've got to do a career switch and I need to
Mhm.
start doing this work because it is helping me so much.
Yeah.
So that's
Yeah.
a little bit how I got into it. And I have a really extensive history with chronic illness. And so as I started to become very well, I was like, oh, yes, I'm learning how to build chronic wellness. And that is
Yes.
where my name comes from.
Oh, I love it. That's great. Yeah.
Yes. And that's actually my website. It's just chronicwellness.info. And that's a place where we can look later if we want to kind of just dive into some of the services. But that is where my name comes from. And I love it. So the first thing I did, Pamela, is I took a Reiki level 1 and Reiki level 2 class. My healer and teacher and mentor, Jeff, kind of joked around that Reiki is kind of like the gateway drug when you're getting into this kind of work.
Yeah.
So we'd laugh about it. But truly, in 2019, I took a Reiki level 1 and 2 class. Oh, and I loved it. I loved it so much. And about 6 months later, I took a second one.
Yeah.
You can take as many Reiki level 1 and 2 classes as you want. And every time that you take classes, it enhances your ability to channel that Reiki and continues to heal you and to help you be calm and to help you receive all the benefits of Reiki as a student, right?
Yeah.
And then it was so fundamentally life changing for me the following year, I took a Reiki master class and
Mm.
I loved it and I couldn't help it. So I took a second Reiki master class some
Couldn't
months
help
later.
it. Yeah.
Mm-mm. And that is like, that's how I started the journey. And once I became a Reiki master teacher, it was 2020. And I
Yeah.
was like, well, how is this going to go with the global pandemic? And I started teaching Reiki classes online, and oh my goodness, it was beautiful. And it
Yeah.
was such a testament to be able to work with people all over the United States doing Reiki courses right here on Zoom. And we don't talk about this very much, Pamela. I don't know why. It's science. But in 1925, we discovered quantum physics. And with quantum physics, we know that time and space don't exist. And that's why Reiki is so powerful from a distance, because truly there's no such thing as time and space. And so, with those students in 2020, as I started teaching, it was like all being together as one. And it didn't
Yeah.
even feel like it was virtual, you know?
Yeah. Absolutely.
When I see clients or students in Reiki instruction or Reiki one on one sessions, or in something I do called Theta healing, which we can get into more later,
Yeah.
if they're comfortable and if they choose into an energy feels aligned, then some of that will come into play. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, and that's just it too. And I think with Reiki, it can be very intuitive, or those things will arise in people or they'll come
Yes.
up as they're
Mm-hmm.
having a Reiki session, or even I think the Reiki practitioner or the Reiki master will those will also come up for them. Sometimes they will connect with another person in that way, even when they weren't trying, because of that energy that's coming through them. Yeah.
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And, for anyone who might not be as familiar, Reiki is Japanese in origin. And what it is it means universal life force energy,
Yeah.
right? And so then we know, okay, like, wait a second, superhero movies, the chi, right? Oh, from India, the prana. Okay, so the key, the Ki in Reiki is the same thing as life force energy.
Mhm.
And some people that are a little bit more Christian centered might prefer it to be called the Christ consciousness, right?
Right, right. Yeah.
So essentially, the Reiki is a gentle hands on healing technique. And what it does is it allows individuals to really deeply relax. It
Yeah.
uses alpha brain waves. That's what
Mhm.
scientists have measured, and it allows them oftentimes to release trapped emotions in their body,
Yeah.
to be able to either lessen or get rid of physical pain,
Yeah.
to be able to sleep deeper. A lot of times now you'll see Reiki practitioners, they will be in hospice centers, they
Yeah.
will be in cancer centers. They're going to be, more likely in some of those scenarios, because while Reiki is not going to be like a substitute for medical care, it's an
Hmm.
excellent supplement. And I can tell
Yeah.
you, Pamela, I have done Reiki sessions inside of hospitals and with
Nice.
people that have been very ill, and it's a very sacred experience, very,
Yeah.
very sacred.
Yeah. Awesome. So helpful in so many ways. And one thing I recently learned is that there's many different types of Reiki.
So many.
Yeah, and I have heard of Reiki for quite a while, as so many people have. As you said, that's kind of the gateway,
Yes.
into
Yes.
holistic healing. But I had not known that there was so many different types of Reiki. So that's really fascinating to me. And it's all using like the universal energy, the healing energy that is already there. I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like it's kind of like the fish will never see the water around them because that's the space that they live in, that's their world. And the energy is kind of the same thing. It's all around us. And it's not like necessarily from up anywhere specifically. It's there. It's just
It's
here.
there. It
Yeah.
just is
Yeah.
exactly. And that's how I believe, because,
Yeah.
I can say, oh yeah, I'm a Reiki practitioner. Oh yeah, people will say, oh, you're a Reiki healer type of thing. When in reality, what I'm doing is I'm channeling the Reiki.
Yeah.
So what it's doing is I'm able to channel the Reiki. And then it's completely up to the client or the student what they'd like to receive from it, right?
Yeah.
So truly, I'm not healing anybody. People can say, oh, you healed me. And I always correct them every
Yeah.
time. And they say, oh, no, you healed you.
Right.
No, the Reiki healed you, because Reiki is a healer. And so my job is to just be loving,
Yeah.
to be calm, to hold space, and then to channel that Reiki so that Reiki, with its free will, it
Mm-hmm.
knows where to go and what to do,
Right.
right?
Right.
Reiki is able to go to the client's needs or the
Mm-hmm.
student's needs, right? Because Reiki has its own intelligence. It knows where to flow and what to do.
Yeah.
And so it's really fun because every time that you facilitate a Reiki session and every time that you facilitate a class, the instructor or the practitioner also receives Reiki
Yeah.
because it knows what you need, right?
Yeah.
And it's beautiful. It's beautiful. So I can't tell you how much I love facilitating classes in particular and
Yeah.
all of the healing that takes place for me in the class. I just process it later and focus on the students in the class and holding that safe container, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there anything that you would like your students or your clients to do to prepare, or anything that they should know before they ever contact you or before their first class or first session?
Absolutely. Because people can say, "Oh, I see your massage table. Are you a massage therapist?" And I'm
Hmm.
like, "Oh, no, I'm not a massage therapist." And they'll be like, "What do you do? Reiki? What's that?" Right?
Yeah.
And so it can be really helpful for people to know that before they do a Reiki session per se, right? What we're going to do is we'll be in my studio here with the Reiki table. I'm going to have calm, relaxing music on. I have a lot of essential oils and crystals if people want that as supplement to Reiki. If they like sage or sage sprays, we can use those as well to just be calm and to enhance the energetic vibration. And then they're going to stay fully clothed. The only thing I ask is to please take off their shoes, right? If they're
Hmm.
comfortable. Socks or no socks is okay. And then they're going to lay on the table, and the Reiki is gentle hands on touch, only on appropriate places of the body, of
Hmm.
course. So that can help people feel really comfortable to kind of know what to expect. Now,
Absolutely.
my
Yeah.
particular, yeah, absolutely, right? Like we kind of need our expectations.
Yeah.
My particular Reiki lineage is called the Usui Holy Fire Reiki. So the other thing that I tell people is, hey, this Reiki is called Holy Fire for a reason. If you notice that my hands or my body get really hot, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing weird
Yeah.
going on. I'm not sick. Like there's nothing. There's only love and light here. It's the holy fire is the particular Reiki lineage that I practice, and so it's the holy fire cleansing and clearing out anything that in Japanese is referred to as habiki.
Mhm.
And habiki is just essentially anything that's not serving the person on the table. Is it a trapped memory in the body that's not serving them? Is it a migraine? I've worked with clients that have bipolar disorder and they're unable to sleep in
Mhm.
manic states, and the
Yeah.
Reiki helps them sleep.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
I used to see a woman years ago, and she was a little bit older and too frail to have surgery. And
Mm.
so she came to see me regularly because Reiki really helped her with pain management
Oh,
with a
nice.
broken disc. And she was just not strong enough for surgery. And so she was turning to holistic measures to get some relief. And that was really beautiful to hold
Mm.
space for.
Yeah, absolutely. So, do you find that you mentioned how Reiki will know where to go and what is needed for the client? So, do you find that people will come to you for a certain specific issue and then they find later that, oh, it also helped this and this and this, which they weren't expecting and they weren't even seeking your help for?
Almost always.
Yeah, that's great.
For some people, they really prefer to look at Reiki as a science because it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
Measured on the scientific instruments, like I mentioned, it uses
Mm-hmm.
the alpha brainwaves. Okay. So with alpha brainwaves, that's kind of when all of the chatter and the noise in our brain really calms
Yeah.
down, and it feels amazing. A lot of us have a mean voice in our head. It usually speaks second person,
Mm-hmm.
right? So it might be like, "You're a failure, you're behind,
Yeah.
you're a bad mom, you're never gonna make it," right? Does that kind
Mm-hmm.
of sound familiar, Pamela? Have you
Yeah,
ever had
yeah.
that? Slipping into alpha brain waves, right, can really, really help us have that chatter turn off and
Mm-hmm.
not have so much noise. And so people
Yeah.
can get deeply, deeply relaxed. And that is one of the greatest benefits of Reiki is that strong relaxation. And how much do we all need that?
Yeah. Yeah, and that can then help other things. If you're never able to relax and you're never able to quiet that chattering mind, it can also help with so many other things because those are symptoms of other things going on. So, yeah, I can really imagine where people get so much relief in so many ways that they weren't even expecting. So, I
Oh,
love
they
that so
do. And
much. Yeah.
about 90% of our doctor's visits are related to stress,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? And then think about for somebody that's in cancer care treatment, for
Hmm.
example, right?
Yeah.
If their body is able to get deeply relaxed, then their chemotherapy or their radiation is much more likely to work.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And if they don't have all that anxiety around it, also. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
I have seen people in cancer care be able to, because sometimes with chemotherapy in particular, it's very difficult to eat. And I have seen people
Yeah.
receive Reiki care and have more of an ability to eat.
Oh,
And
nice. Yeah.
that's a really, really beautiful gift, right? To
Yeah.
be able to eat a little bit, sleep a little bit more,
Hmm.
and just, be calmer to just kind of overall help through the cancer journey. And then with this work with hospice, while the person is ultimately going to pass away, finding peace
Hmm.
before you transition to the other side or whatever that person's belief system is, I think is priceless.
Yeah.
And Reiki can really, really add to somebody being able to find peace, as well as helping their loved ones that are surrounding them to see them experiencing more peace and better rest as they're getting ready for that
Yeah.
transition.
Yeah. So they might not have as much grief around their loved one passing, knowing that they went peacefully. I mean, of course they're going to grieve.
And
Yeah. So are there any misconceptions around Reiki that you encounter that people ask you about or that they have in their mind about Reiki?
absolutely. Some people that are very religious are a little bit afraid of Reiki
Mm-hmm.
because they're afraid that if they try it or if they kind of learn more about it, that it'll interfere with their religious beliefs. And the
Mm.
thing about Reiki is that it respects all religious beliefs and all
Yeah.
spiritual beliefs and lack of. So I've had people come to me, very concerned. In particular, people from the LDS or Mormon population
Mm.
have asked me about Reiki, like, hey, I would like to try this. I'm worried that it interferes with my religion. Can we talk about this?
Oh, nice.
I've had that conversation, with that group of people. And I've also had that conversation with people from many different Christian sects of, can you tell me a little bit more about this? And then can I pray to, for myself and take some time and feel like if this is right for me,
Yeah,
And of course, yes, the
of
answer is
course.
always yes to that.
Yeah.
So that's been one concern. Another concern is, where does the energy come from? And I say, oh, the energy only comes from love and light. And any energy that could come from anywhere else, I don't even speak about.
Yeah.
Don't even look at, don't talk about, don't touch. And we're just going to leave it at that. Love and
Yeah.
light, love and light, love and light only. And that can really, really ease some people's fears,
Yeah.
because those are valid concerns on all fronts, right? We want to
Sure.
make sure that we're keeping the patient or the client, I mean, or the student at the forefront and
Hmm.
working within their paradigm with
Right.
deep respect.
Yeah, absolutely. All about love, light, and respect. Yeah, absolutely. So you had mentioned Theta that you wanted to talk about. Can you talk about that a little
Yeah,
bit?
I would love to. So, it's amazing. Like a few years into my journey, having Reiki done for myself and then becoming a practitioner and a
Hmm.
teacher, I got introduced to something called theta healing,
Theta
like the
healing.
theta brain waves, which
Hmm.
anyone might be more familiar with if you think about hypnotherapy,
Right.
right? So those are the brain waves that hypnotherapy use. And for people that are really into yoga, sometimes people hit theta brain waves through yoga nidra. So Pamela, when you're kind of waking up in the morning or falling asleep at night, it's like your mind is awake, but your body is asleep.
Right.
So it's really fascinating because theta healing is completely focused on the belief systems that we carry, right?
Hmm.
And we know through science that we create our reality with our belief systems, with our thoughts. And that's just straight up science, not even metaphysical. So in theta, we look at four different levels of existence. We look at the here and now. Okay. So you
Hmm.
could be like, okay, yes, my name is Pamela. I am a woman and, this is my age and this is kind of my core existence, right?
Yeah.
But we would take a couple steps farther because then we would look at what are your belief systems on your ancestral level.
Mm.
Okay. So scientists after World War II started studying the concept of ancestral trauma or epigenetics
Mm-hmm.
because they were looking at why are children and grandchildren of Holocaust survivors less healthy than children and grandchildren of those who were not Holocaust survivors because they weren't there.
Yeah.
And that was when the studies came about. And so there's a lot of research from the last 60 years about looking into those things. And Theta very much believes and teaches that we carry that ancestral belief system within us
Yeah.
for the betterment and also to our detriment, right?
Mm-hmm. But being aware of it can really help
Yeah.
you. Talking about the detriment of it. Yeah, being aware of it is the first step to healing through that. Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love that you pointed it out because so many people are not aware of this
Mhm.
incredible healing modality because it's not very common,
Yeah.
right? So the next level that we would look at would be the historic level. So because you identify as a woman, Pamela, you'd be looking at the history of all of womankind throughout Earth.
Mm-hmm.
So what in all of womankind throughout Earth, what are the belief systems? What are the thoughts?
Yeah.
And how does that affect you? Right?
Yeah.
And then if you're a person that believes in past lives or future lives or the multiverse, we
Mm-hmm.
would look at that level, calling it the soul level. And
Mm-hmm.
often within religion, it might be more like, your life before Earth and then your life after Earth, kind of more of like a pre-Earth and in more of a heaven or so, if you will, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So no matter what language somebody uses, then you'd be looking at the soul level.
Yeah.
So Theta looks at those four levels. And it's really, really incredible because then you can start to look for belief systems, with that person's permission in the healing
Yeah.
that may not be benefiting them and take them through this beautiful meditation to help them start to rewire those belief systems and replace them with something helpful. Okay,
Yeah.
so for example, let's say that you and I do a theta session and we would do something called a sway test. Now, it sounds a
Okay.
little crazy, but with the sway test, we make sure that we're super hydrated. Yes, as you drink some water, I love it. I love it. We ask ourselves a question like something that we already know the answer to, right? Like, I don't play hockey. So oftentimes they'll be like, oh, I'm the captain of a hockey team. And my answer will be no. And I love and adore my dogs. And so my answer will be yes. So I'm just
Mm-hmm.
calibrating my body, making sure I'm hydrated and that the answers are coming out correct, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then I may have asked myself a question like, I love my body, right? Because body image is something that so many people struggle with, regardless of their
Yeah.
background, their gender, their age, their race, right?
Mm-hmm.
Et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And so I might find out through this way test, yes, I love my body here and now. Yes, I love my body on a soul level. Oh no, on a genetic level, so within family lines, and on a historic level, ooh, I don't love my body because there's so many people and experiences kind of tied up in those populations, of course,
Yeah.
right? And so then if I thought, wow, in the 95% of my brain, which is subconscious, I didn't know that there were parts of me that don't love my body.
Yeah.
I would like that to be different.
Sure. Yeah.
So then there's this beautiful theta meditation that I will take clients to. And at the top of the meditation, because it's in 7 stages, then they will be able to have the opportunity to, if they're ready, able, and willing, release the belief system of, I don't love my body, right? Looking at the historic level and looking at the genetic level,
Yeah.
and replacing it with, I love my body, or my body is whole, perfect, and complete, or whatever language feels comfortable for them, right?
Yeah.
So after the meditation, then we would test and see if that belief system set in. And if it does, it can completely shift somebody's reality.
Yeah. So let me ask you if what kind of challenges have you faced in the holistic healing world as being part of the LGBTQ community? if any?
Absolutely. Yeah. There's been a few challenges. I can tell you one of the most difficult challenges that I had is I had started a Reiki session
Mm-hmm.
and I was with a client. And sometimes during Reiki, people are really, really, really relaxed. They
Mm-hmm.
slip into alpha, maybe even theta brain waves, and sometimes all the way in delta. So
Mm-hmm.
they fall asleep, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Just want to relax. They don't want to talk. And other clients come on the table and oh, they want to talk the whole time. And it's great. I just follow the client's lead.
You're right.
Well, a few years ago, I had a client come into Reiki, and after we'd started the session, vented to me for about 45 minutes about fears, worries, concerns that her daughter was queer and all of the reasons why it would be unacceptable for her daughter to be queer, how
Wow.
she would not be okay with it, how the child's father would not be okay with it, how the grandparents would not be
Mm.
okay with it, and what a problem it would be to me knowing that I was queer. And that was really hard to be able to focus and
Yeah.
channel Reiki energy and leave my personal feelings out of it,
Yeah.
and maintain those alpha brain waves. It was very painful. So I was able to do the session. I was able
Mm-hmm.
to stay calm. I was able to stay in the alpha brain waves. But when I got home that night, I cried and
Yeah.
I was angry because even if a person didn't know who they were talking to, that would be painful. But with somebody knowingly saying, I know you're queer, but it
Yeah.
was really, really difficult and very painful. So that
Yeah.
is sometimes a challenge that many queer people come across, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, kind of across the line, whether you're doing holistic wellness or not, there are a lot of people that continue to say, love the sinner, hate the sin.
Mm-hmm.
And within the metaphysical context, within Reiki, within Theta, everything is actually about love.
Yeah.
So there's actually not even any sort of room for any of that hate, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
it can be really difficult because there can be a painful bias where people want your services but are still putting an arm length distance
Yeah.
between you. And so then the Reiki isn't nearly as effective, or the Theta, or any of the trauma informed life coaching support that I do,
Yeah.
because there's that arm's length distance. And in that case, it can be better to refer a client out to a different practitioner that might be more suitable for them, referring them out so that they can still receive the gifts. And then you can also have your boundaries and maintain your self
Yeah.
efficacy. So that referral out is one of the best bets.
Yeah.
And, honestly, another challenge, Pamela, is unfortunately there are some biases in the queer community towards other queer community members.
Mm.
And so there are layers of that as well within the wellness holistic community, unfortunately.
Wow.
Unfortunately, it can kind of play in sometimes. And so sometimes somebody might be, okay, like if somebody is a gay or lesbian,
Mm-hmm.
but they might still participate in biphobia or bi erasure, right?
Mm.
Where it might be like, oh, okay, well, that practitioner's bi, I don't know, choose a side already. You might want to see
Uh,
somebody, blah, blah, blah. Does that make sense? Or,
yeah, they see them as sitting on the fence and yeah, yeah.
mhm.
Oh, you're not fully this or you're not fully that. What are you then? Yeah.
Or they might
Wow.
say, it's okay if you're lesbian, it's okay if you're, bisexual or pansexual or gay, but what is this transgender thing? I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Let's not go to that transgender wellness provider. I don't even
Mm.
understand that life. And so, unfortunately, there's still some of that within the community. And so, what's needed within the community and outside of the community is love and education
Yeah.
and patience. And I have been a professional LGBT inclusive diversity, equity, and inclusion and belonging trainer before and done very similar work.
Mm.
And, just a little bit of love and calm and communication and education can make a world of difference within and out of the community so that everyone feels safe to be who they are within
Right.
holistic wellness. So when I teach Reiki classes, I'll just go over a few ground rules. Everyone there is going to be an adult and I'm not going to be, too bossy, right? But what I say is absolutely no politics here. We're not going to be talking about that through the weekend. And
Hmm.
I say everyone is welcome here. Every race, every gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, um, every ability, disability, every religion or spiritual practice, and on and on. You are welcome. You are here. And in actuality, we are one.
Yeah,
So there's
yeah.
actually no separation because, Pamela, any belief in separation, right? If we think we're better than somebody else, or if
Hmm.
we think we're worse than somebody else, it's going to cause depression
Yeah, yeah,
because the truth is we're one, right?
yeah. Yeah, and I can imagine too when people hear that from you, that it gives them like a sense of relief, and maybe you can
Yes,
probably
it
I can
does.
see people actually kind of exhaling a little bit, or maybe, maybe even getting a little teary-eyed because a lot of people have not heard that before, that, you are welcome and you are loved, and no matter who you are or whatever else kind of thing that's going on with you or what anything about you. You are me and I am you, and we are welcome here, all of us. So, yeah, yeah, I can imagine
And
how wonderful that would be to people.
it is. And I
Yeah.
remember, I've taught a lot of classes over the last 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
But I remember this woman in a class 2 years ago, and
Mm-hmm.
she just looked at me and she said, "Why do I love you so much? I met you yesterday."
Yes.
And I said, "Oh, I'm a nice person. But what's happening is you love you and you love me because we're all one, and you're experiencing that oneness in the
Yeah.
alpha or theta brainwaves. And when you feel that oneness, you're going to look around the world with brighter eyes and
Mm-hmm.
feel such a deeper love for everyone and everything." And she just, hugged me
Yeah.
in a big embrace and kissed my cheek, because a huge part of Reiki is developing that collective oneness and realizing that we're all the same.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I understand that. So, but yeah, I want the public to understand this as well, is why we're explaining it today. Um, so, do you have anything new on the horizon, anything coming up that you're going to be doing that you would like to share with people today?
Well, I have a couple of exciting things. Thanks for
Okay.
asking.
Mm-hmm.
My next Reiki training session for Reiki level 1 and 2, no prerequisites necessary,
Mm-hmm.
is going to be on June 21st and 22nd. It's in the greater Phoenix area, and we're actually going to be out, well, still in the Phoenix area, on a horse ranch for a
Nice.
peaceful, serene environment weekend. And it is the weekend intentionally of summer solstice, because that's a time for us to really spend a little time alone, going deeper and reflecting, which is something that's a wonderful gift of
Yeah.
taking a Reiki course. So they'll go hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to that.
Okay. And where is the best place to contact you?
Website or my Instagram are the two
Okay.
best. And again, the website is just chronicwellness.info.
Mm-hmm.
And sending me a message there is great. You'll also see my phone number listed on the website. So
Okay.
calls or text messages are perfect.
Okay, great. And we will put that information in the description down below. So please, please, please look at that information. Is there anything else that you want to make sure that you share or let people know before we go?
Yeah. Honestly, I just want all of you to know that you are whole. You're
Yeah,
perfect, you're complete, and you're worthy of love and belonging.
yeah,
And as you learn to become your own greatest advocate, it's going to completely change your life. And I believe in you. So any sort of healing that you do, with Reiki or Theta, meditation circles, any sort of trauma-informed life coaching, those are the services that I perform. It isn't about me. I'm going to hold space and be very calm and ask you some questions and help you step into your own truth and into your own power. So rather than thinking, what's wrong with me? I got to fix myself, we might think, wow, I'm worthy of love and belonging, and I could really use some support right now. Who should I call?
yeah, yeah. I
And that will be
love
very,
that.
very helpful.
Yeah, what a great message. What a great message for everybody. Yeah, thank you so, so much for being my guest today and sharing so much about who you are and what you do and all your offerings. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I really appreciate you.
No, thank you, Pamela.